Me and Turki know each other, and then we wanna see what.
See Canelo Crawford next.
We'll see. It's a possibility there always. No, we'll see what happens.
Have you spoke with Turkey about that show? About Canelo?
We know each other. We don't talk that much for make a deal and anything, but you know, we now know each other, and
The boxing world is abuzz with excitement as rumors grow stronger about a potential mega fight between two of the sport's finest, Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford.
Everything is possible. We'll see. We want to talk about it, sit down really well, and figure out something.
Canelo Alvarez, who once dismissed the idea of facing Terence Crawford, calling it a lose-lose scenario, has now changed his position, openly recognizing that Crawford is a legitimate threat.
He's too small to compete with you.
No, he's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. He's a smart fighter, and I take everything seriously. But you know, we'll see what.
Turki Al-Sheikh, the powerful head of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, seems to be spearheading the push to turn this dream fight into a reality. At a recent Ring magazine event in London, Al-Sheikh and Alvarez were seen engaged in deep conversation, with Alvarez hinting at the possibility of facing Crawford. He said, "There's always a chance we'll see, but there's always a possibility. We're here to do the best business." Canelo Alvarez spoke optimistically about his recent meeting with Turki Al-Sheikh, offering insight into his approach to partnerships and the future of his boxing.
I like to work with everybody. You know, I'm a free agent, and I like to work with everybody. And you know, I like to have the doors.
The potential fight is monumental, not just because of the star power involved, but also due to its perfect timing. Both fighters are at the peak of their careers, despite taking very different paths to get there. Canelo Alvarez has expressed his willingness to consider the highly anticipated bout, and Terence Crawford has repeatedly shown strong interest in making it happen. You want the news? Tell them we're going for Canelo next. Yes, tell them. Let's go. Come on. Crawford, known for his relentless drive and readiness to take on any challenge, has publicly called for this fight multiple times, eager to cement his legacy by facing one of boxing's most iconic figures.
Just put me in the game, coach. Just put me in the game. Canelo Crawford.
In a conversation with Crawford, Turki Al-Sheikh, the head of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, shared his ambitious vision for the future of boxing. He expressed his focus on the American market, saying, "In the American market, I want to see Canelo Crawford." Al-Sheikh also offered his prediction about the highly anticipated fight, suggesting it could take place in May. He proposed that the matchup could be featured on an undercard alongside another exciting bout between Ryan Garcia and Teofimo Lopez.
Canelo versus Crawford in May on the undercard, Ryan Garcia and Teofimo Lopez. Look, and here's the thing, magnificent card.
Adolo expressed his excitement about the potential fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. While acknowledging the clear challenge of a weight difference, he remained hopeful that the matchup could still happen. Adolo emphasized the mutual interest of both fighters, Crawford's eagerness to secure the fight and Canelo's potential willingness, as long as the financial terms are right, as key factors in making the bout a
We want to see Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. I know there's a weight disparity or discrepancy between the two, right? One at 154, one at 168, but something can happen there. Crawford desperately wants to fight. I believe Canelo wants it for the right.
AO reflected on the broader landscape of boxing and the importance of such a fight in today's era. He highlighted the unique excitement that a potential Las Vegas event would generate, noting the global attention the bout would attract. For Adolo, the combination of perfect timing, the right circumstances, and immense star power makes this fight an extraordinary and significant.
Many fights out there now for Canelo because Benavidez and Morale have now gone up to 175 and he didn't really seem interested in fighting them. And I don't think there's any interest for Crawford to fight anyone else at 154 or 160. So it's the super fight of all super fights. And when you've covered the sport for nearly 30 years, you know nothing beats a big Vegas fight. Nothing. And this one would just sell out anything in Vegas and it'll be enormous.
Gareth A. Davies engaged in a conversation with Adolo about the potential fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, highlighting its unique appeal and historical significance. Davies pointed out the age dynamic between the two fighters, noting that Crawford is actually older than Canelo, though it might not seem that way due to his energy and form. He remarked, "This is a weird one because Crawford's older than Canelo, even though he doesn't look like it, act like it, or feel like it. But Canelo obviously is an older guy in terms of the years he's put in, 20 years as a pro, so it's an amazing run." Davies then compared the potential matchup to legendary bouts of the past, particularly the fight between Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. By drawing this parallel, Davies emphasized the significance and potential legacy of a Crawford-Canelo bout, framing it as a defining moment for modern boxing.
Big super fights, because it harks back to Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. Leonard stepping up to the middleweight division and beating Marvin Hagler. Maybe it's a similar kind of fight in a way, without critiquing too heavily or comparing Canelo to one of my all-time heroes, Marvin Hagler. Obviously one was a southpaw as well in Hagler, so I think it's a brilliant big.
Alvarez, a 4-division world champion with a 60-2 record, has faced some criticism for his cautious matchmaking in recent times. Crawford, on the other hand, recently vacated the welterweight division after securing undisputed status for the second time in his career, further solidifying his pound-for-pound credentials with a dominant win over Errol Spence. This potential clash promises not only an exciting contest but also a chance for both fighters to solidify their legacies in boxing history. However, the path to this fight has not been easy. Alvarez's previous reluctance to face Crawford sparked controversy, especially when reports surfaced that he had demanded a $150 million purse as a...
Everybody wants to fight me. Everybody calling me out and everything, and you know, like I say, I have nothing to win with Crawford. 2-3 ways plus less than me. But if the money is right, why not?
British promoter Eddie Hearn shed light on the challenges of negotiating the potential fight, stating, "I'd be very surprised if that fight happens. I think His Excellency has been pushing that fight, but it didn't seem like it was something Canelo really wanted to do, to be honest." Despite these obstacles, Turki Al-Sheikh's determination to make the fight happen has reignited hope among fans. Hearn also issued a cautionary note to Terence Crawford regarding the challenge of facing Canelo Alvarez at super middleweight. Acknowledging Crawford's exceptional skill set, Hearn emphasized the difficulty of moving up to 168 pounds to face a fighter as seasoned and powerful as Canelo. He remarked, "Crawford is an unbelievable fighter, but taking on Canelo at 168 pounds is a whole different ball game. The size, the power, and the experience Canelo brings at that weight are just too much." Hearn believes that the physical advantages Canelo holds at super middleweight could be too much for Crawford, who has never fought at such a high weight class. While Crawford's technical brilliance is undeniable, the stark weight difference could significantly tilt the odds in Canelo.
Crawford going to be able to bridge this weight gap?
Yeah, I don't think he can, in all honesty. I mean, he might not be able to bridge it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
one weight class.
68, yeah, but you're coming up from 35. 35, 40, 47, 54. Sooner or later, it's one too many. And 68 is definitely too many. But Crawford's brilliant. Like, he's a genius. He's a generational.
Comments emphasize the daunting nature of this potential matchup, highlighting the immense challenge Crawford would face in trying to overcome Canelo, a fighter who has firmly established himself as one of the most dominant forces in the division.
Maybe he can find a way to do it, but I feel he'd be hugely outsized against Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. But you have to use your movement. If you're Terence Crawford in that fight, the last thing you want to do is stand and trade. He'd be moving a lot in that fight, trust me. I'm not saying he'd be running, but he would be moving a lot.
Cool.
Comparisons between Alvarez and Crawford highlight the unique appeal of this matchup. Alvarez, known for his exceptional head movement and flexibility, has conquered weight classes from junior middleweight to light heavyweight. His impressive resume includes victories over elite opponents like Gennady Golovkin, Sergey Kovalev, and Caleb Plant. Crawford, unbeaten in 41 fights, is renowned for his unmatched versatility and ring IQ. A southpaw with devastating power and precision, Crawford has earned praise for his ability to adjust mid-fight and dismantle even the toughest opponents. Amir Khan noted that it's easier to land punches on Canelo than it is on Crawford.
But what are the differences between them? Canelo's stronger and is easily hit. Very easily hit, very easily. Compared to when I fought against Crawford, I couldn't even hit clean. So really that's the difference. And they both hit hard.
Adola Depot highlighted the shrinking pool of viable opponents for both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford as a key factor driving the potential for their highly anticipated fight. He stated, "I think both are running out of opponents, that's why I think it could happen." Edgar Berlanga also weighed in on the matchup, acknowledging the exceptional skills both fighters bring to the table. However, he pointed out that one significant factor that could affect Canelo's performance is the weight and height disparity. Berlanga noted that while Canelo is a formidable force, his size could. Canelo presents a whole different challenge.
And my brother, Terence Crawford, wants to fight Canelo.
Yeah.
Just from your expert opinion, knowing how Canelo fights, what he's like in the ring, I know you haven't been in the ring with Terence, but what do you think of that fight?
I truly believe, that, anything can happen in boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that is his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better. You know what I'm saying? But Crawford is a legend, bro.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can't.
The stylistic contrast between Alvarez's aggressive counterpunching and Crawford's more cerebral approach adds intrigue to the matchup, but questions persist about how the weight disparity could influence the fight. Concerns about weight classes are always a factor, as it's often easier to face smaller boxers when moving up in weight. But Canelo,
you stick your hand in some shit you might not want to stick your hand in. So, who knows? It could be true, it could not. But we seen the rumors. You know what I'm saying? If we have to fight, I'm just gonna give it straight. I don't think Crawford's ready for this level of smoke. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Canelo's a different man. He's a different beast. He's a different animal. Hey, it's a weight class for a reason. Hey, I'm gonna say, hey, bro. Crawford, you stick your hand in some shit you might not want to stick your hand in. So.
He just stuck his hand in.
This the worst you gonna stick your hand in. That Mexican killer, I'm telling you, Canelo gonna take his head off.
Crawford has dominated at welterweight, 147 pounds, and recently moved up to super welterweight, 150 pounds, while Alvarez has been competing at super middleweight, 168 pounds, and occasionally light heavyweight, 175 pounds. The weight difference could pose a significant challenge, as Alvarez's natural size advantage may test Crawford's ability to implement his usual strategy.
Stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. So let's not do that.
Gareth A. Davies discussed the intriguing dynamic between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, noting that their styles and current career trajectories make them well suited for each other. He pointed out that the potential risk of Crawford stepping up in weight adds an element of danger to the fight, making it even more compelling. He said, "I think they are made for each other in a sense that the danger is there with Terence stepping up." He looked fine against Israel Madrimov, a very tough 154-pound boxer. As the year progresses, past controversies surrounding Alvarez's reluctance to face certain opponents have cast some doubt on the potential fight. Critics have pointed to his decision to avoid mandatory challenges like David Benavidez and William Monroe Jr., with some questioning whether Crawford's persistent callouts will go unanswered. Devin Haney, who is also in talks with Turki Alalshikh for a possible matchup with Ryan Garcia, made it clear that he fully supports Terence Crawford. While he didn't go into detail, Haney emphasized that when it comes to boxing intelligence and technical ability, both in and outside the ring, Crawford is head and shoulders above the competition, highlighting his fierce intensity inside the ring.
But who have you got if that happens?
I can't go against Crawford. I fuck with Crawford. I like him in the ring, out the ring. I think that he's the best right now.
Andre Rozier, a respected figure in the boxing world, recently shared his thoughts on the potential fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. While he acknowledged Crawford's exceptional abilities, Rozier expressed concerns about the wisdom of jumping straight into a super middleweight fight with Canelo. He voiced confidence in Crawford's ability to compete at 154 pounds, viewing it as a more natural progression for the welterweight champion, given his skill set and physical attribute.
Can he possibly do at this point to regain that status is beat someone of note in another weight class?
However, Rozier draws the line at the prospect of Crawford moving up to 168 pounds to face Canelo. He described Canelo as a different beast at that weight, warning that the jump could prove too much for Crawford. Canelo is a different beast at that weight, Rosier explained, emphasizing the significant physical challenges Crawford would face against such a dominant force in the super middleweight class. Rosier's caution highlights the risks involved in a fight that many fans see as one of the biggest potential matchups in boxing, but one that could have serious consequences for Crawford's career.
It's going to be enough for him. Him going up to fighting, quote unquote, if it should happen, Canelo. I don't see that ending well. It's just too much and too far to go. But and that's what it was.
Alvarez's recent win over Edgar Berlanga, while impressive, did little to silence his critics. Crawford, however, remains undeterred. His bold move up in weight demonstrates his willingness to challenge himself against the best, adding even more intrigue to the potential fight. Sebo, who has sparred with Canelo Alvarez for 80 rounds, recently shared his thoughts on the Mexican fighter's skills and character. Bo described Canelo as a very nice guy outside the ring, noting his amiable nature. However, he emphasized that Canelo's demeanor changes once the bell rings.
Very nice guy. He's a very nice guy. Obviously, in the ring, he's not as nice. You know, he picks his shots, and he's very, very good at, you know, the things that he does. He's a very, very just all-around fighter. He can come forward, he can go back.
Sebo, who has sparred extensively with Canelo Alvarez, offered further insight into his adaptability and versatility. He explained that Canelo's approach in the ring is tailored to the situation, noting that if Canelo doesn't display certain skills, it's likely because he doesn't need them at that moment. Bo emphasized Canelo's ability to adapt, saying, "I've seen enough rounds with him and others to know that he's very versatile and can switch up. He can focus and train on a particular skill and master it." Keith Thurman, a former world champion and boxing expert, also shared his thoughts on why Terence Crawford might feel confident in a potential fight with Canelo. He pointed to Canelo's recent fight with Jermell Charlo, noting how Charlo's defensive adjustments after being knocked down ultimately compromised his offensive output.
Fought Charlo. Besides the knockdown, Charlo was able to protect himself very well against Canelo's onslaught. The only problem was, while protecting himself, there was no off.
According to Thurman, Charlo's inability to counter effectively allowed Canelo to control the fight and dominate. Thurman pointed out that Crawford, in contrast, excels in situations where both defense and offense are crucial. His adaptability and skill in executing counterattacks make him a dangerous opponent, especially when facing an aggressive force like Canelo.
If Charlo can go so untouched by just being, you know, once he got dropped, his, you know, spider senses fully awakened, right? Boom! So now hands up, don't make no mistakes. So, you know, that's how it is. We saw it in the Munguia fight, you know, we saw it in the last fight. It's those little mistakes that end up having.
As the potential Canelo versus Crawford fight continues to generate excitement in the boxing world, the big question remains, will Canelo's size advantage be enough to overcome Crawford's brilliance in the ring, or will the lighter, faster Crawford prove to be the better fighter? This clash of styles is shaping up to be one of the most thrilling fights in recent memory. What do you think? Who would you bet on to win in this highly anticipated showdown? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and follow for more boxing news updates and in-depth analysis. Stay tuned for the latest on this exciting fight.